The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are 6 minutes late today because we've been fixing the audio problem with Dr. Ray. So it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Ray today on our webinar series, and I'm very happy that we had a wonderful chance to talk to him about 3 days back, and then we thought of doing a webinar for our students. So this session is purely oriented towards the students who are looking for their higher education, and for both the undergrad and grad program, the school has wonderful courses and major to offer to Indian students. And I would have Dr. Ray talk about it in detail. So, Dr. Ray, because we are running late, I just want that you should take the charge and can start with your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Avi, and my apologies for the delay, everyone. Thanks to Study Metro to get everything moving along very smoothly, though. I was quite impressed with that. As the introduction said, my name is Dr. Andy Ray. My focus is in Latin American literature and development and nature. And I work at the Center for International Education at the University of Tennessee. Here's a picture of the university itself. And a couple things, when you're looking at a university and you're thinking about studying abroad, what questions are you asking and what are you looking for? Sometimes you may think you're looking for one thing, but you're not quite aware that there are other elements that you also need to be thinking about and to be considering. A lot of what people first look for are rankings, right? So the University of Tennessee has very strong rankings, particularly at the graduate level, master's and doctoral degrees. Individual departments are where you want to focus on the rankings and specifically individual professors. So what you need to do, this is very important. I always say this. For graduate applicants, if you want to be a graduate student, you need to have a graduate application. Now, I'm talking about mindset here. That means you can't expect someone to do everything for you while you're trying to find out about a university. You need to sit down. You need to look at the department that you're interested in. If you're interested in computer science, you need to go to the computer science department of that university. You also need to look up specific professors and see what research they're doing, what research they're conducting. And then send them an email. And I'll talk about what to write in that email shortly. For the undergraduate level, the process is more in the admissions office, where the decision is made and who you need to contact. So who should you contact? What should you be looking up? I highly recommend in your search, instead of going to the university's main website and then trying to find which page you need. I never do this, by the way. I never do this. What I do is, in my search engine, whether it be Google or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or whatever you're using, type in undergraduate admissions and then the letters, the initials of the university. No dot, no point, just undergraduate admissions space UTK in your search engine. This will take you where you need to go faster, so you're not wasting time getting lost on the main page of a university. Most of the main pages of universities are trying to display too much information. They have to. That will almost never be fixed just in the inherent nature of what that first page is supposed to do. So skip that page. Go right to the undergraduate admissions office. That's where you can find your contact information and also figure out what are the requirements. So for example, I'm going to switch screens real quickly. There's our undergraduate admissions page. So I just typed in undergraduate admissions, UTK, and it took me right here. You can see all these different processes of what you need to do. It walks you through the whole process. And importantly, it's good to try to look for contacts. Right here, as you can see, this is Dr. Broadhead's contact information. You could send Dr. Broadhead an email, and he will be happy to help you. Of course, for any questions you may have, Study Metro is going to be a wonderful resource. As Avi had mentioned earlier, we have direct contact. Furthermore, you can also send me an email. Study Metro has all of my contact information. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Remember, as you send emails to universities, these university administrators and professors have many emails coming in. They may not be able to answer your email within 5 minutes that you send it. Please exercise patience. If you have not heard back from a professor or an administrator in about 5 days, then it would be a good time to resend them an email. Or give them a few days to actually have a chance. They receive lots of emails, they're traveling, they're grading papers, they're preparing for classes, they're writing books or articles. They have a lot going on. Showing that is also a great way to show an understanding to that professor. Okay, location. This is something that a lot of students think about and other students don't think about. Knoxville is right here. If you think historically for transportation in the United States, which is typically by car, truck, and plane, not as much by train, not as much by bus. This location is between lots of major cities. Well, what does that mean? This is where you have to start thinking strategically about things. It means that historically, Knoxville is a hub for business and also supply chain. Thus, both our undergraduate and graduate programs in supply chain logistics are some of the top-ranked programs in the United States. So understanding location helps you also understand and contextualize your academic experience, as well as opportunities with internships and optional practical training, OPT, after you graduate. The city of Knoxville is also known as the Couch, which is a funny nickname. Why is it called that? It's because once you sit down, like on a couch or a sofa, oftentimes you get comfortable and don't want to get back up. I am a perfect example of this. I came to the city of Knoxville to study my master's and PhD, and after graduating, I realized I did not want to leave this city at all. It's very progressive, excellent transportation, especially for the United States. As you noticed earlier, I said the United States does not have much bus transportation. In Knoxville, there's excellent bus transportation. Lots of people use it. I use it often. I walk around. It's easy to either rent a bike or you can get a bike rent it for free from the university. Excellent way to move around. This is important. Why is this important? Because any of you psychology majors can think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's the triangle. You must satisfy your basic needs before you can do these next level things. When you come to a city, if you think, okay, this university has the best programs, top programs is going to be the best experience ever. But if you did not do your research and you find out as you arrive, the university is located away from the main city. You would have to walk everywhere. There are no sidewalks. You have to walk 2 miles to get to the grocery store. You're not satisfying those basic needs. How are you going to get good grades when you're spending an hour and a half trying to walk to the grocery store just so you can get the basic food items and shampoo and other things that you need? This is important to keep in consideration. An easy way to find this out is go to Google Maps. Type in the university name that you're looking at, and then there will be an option of nearby items. What hotels are nearby? What supermarkets are nearby? What apartments are nearby? So this allows you to find out this other information before you arrive. So you can be as best prepared as possible. Because if you're worried about where and how to get to the grocery store, I can guarantee your grades won't be as strong as they could be. Again, this is some photos of the city of Knoxville itself. It's very much focused on, it's located near beautiful mountains, has a lot of cultural elements going on. Again, it's called the couch. People get comfortable here, they don't want to leave. That's exactly what happened to me. These are some of the photos of the mountains. These are called the Smoky Mountains, not because of the pollution levels. It's the natural phenomenon that happens in the mountains. I could ask my microbiology friends about this to explain it, but I can't explain it myself because I'm not a microbiologist. Even our English Language Institute will take their students here. Many student groups go here. Our International House will also take student groups here. It's a wonderful experience. So we do have 11 colleges at our university. Kasner, which is our College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources, is a fascinating college. It has a lot of cutting-edge programs, including ones that I think all students should be thinking about. Food security, so food science and nutrition, as well as water. Remember, as we try to be modern, we think business and engineering is everything. But business and engineering don't matter when you can't eat or drink water. I predict that those two majors, food security, food science, and nutrition, as well as water sanitation, will be some of the top programs in the next 10 years. Architecture and design, these do require a portfolio. I know for sure a professor has been contacting me from architecture and design. At the graduate level, they are very much looking for students, international students. At the undergraduate level, they get full very quickly. Arts and Sciences has a plethora of majors that you can study. And remember, in the United States, we call these majors. We don't call them courses. Majors is what we refer to. I recommend using that terminology, as the less obstacles you have in communicating with professors, the better. And you can read the rest of these programs. Engineering happens to be one of our strongest colleges. Thus, it's one of our most competitive colleges. I know at the graduate level, you need to have written a professor an email and reached out and have that professor's support in order to even be considered for some of the engineering programs, such as computer science. Again, you need to contact a professor. And as I said earlier, what do you say when you're talking to that professor? I suggest you do not ask this question. What is the minimum GRE to get into this program? If you ask what is the minimum GRE to get into the program, what is the professor going to think about you? The professor is going to think this is a minimum GRE type of student. I strongly suggest do not ask that question. Well, what do you ask? Here's what I suggest. At the graduate level, typically scholarships and fellowships are hard to find to fund your education. However, a much more common financial resource is called an assistantship. I recommend when you write that professor, ask what is the average GRE score for your students that have assistantships. There, you're projecting the image of yourself as above the minimum requirements, and also you're asking about the students that receive assistantships and indicating that you might be interested in one. So you're doing multiple things within one single question. And remember, particularly at the graduate level, it's somewhat psychological. You need to be strategic about how you communicate with professors and with graduate administrators. The undergraduate level, you do not have to be quite as strategic. However, all of your emails, as you're reaching out to people, start them off with Dear Mr. or Mrs. or Doctor. Don't start an email off with hello, comma. It sounds very unprofessional. Remember, you want to use everything you can to help you get into the program, and that means communication as well. Why have a great recommendation letter when you've written terrible emails? You know, so make sure your emails are on the same level as your recommendation letter. That doesn't mean make them long. Remember what I said earlier. Professors, administrators, we're all busy. Make it concise. Make it clear. That will also help you in your academic writing. You can see these programs. You can also find them online very easily. I would recommend, if you're looking for a specific engineering program, type in material science and then type in the letters UTK. That'll bring you up to that department immediately in your search. I'll let you look at these for 1 second, and then we'll move along. As I said before, business is a very strong program, and part of the reason is the traditional and historical location of the city of Knoxville. Also, you can see supply chain management, as I mentioned earlier, this is one of our strongest programs. Again, though, as you get excited about these programs and say, yes, this is what I want to do, remember that as you apply to the strongest programs, you're also going to have the strongest pool of applicants that you're competing against. That's not to say don't do it, but it's also to say, remember this. So the majority of the university, like most public universities, is composed of undergraduate students. Our international student body is a little bit higher than this, and our graduate student body is about 6,000 students. We have a couple of different Indian student organizations. One's called Mantan, and they're very active, and it seems, at least when I've been the judge for our international dance competitions, a couple of the different Indian student organizations have a lot of fun, not only studying but also in their extracurricular activities, which is wonderful. Remember, this is very important. If you spend all of your time in the library and in the laboratory, how are you going to do one of the most important things when it comes to job finding? And that thing is networking. You need to practice your networking skills while you are a student. How do you practice networking skills? Get involved. You don't have to be overly involved, but at least try to join one student organization. This will greatly help your social skills. When I have to hire people, I focus almost first and foremost on their social skills. Granted, I'm not hiring someone to do research. However, I will have almost always people that are very good at data analysis, which is something that I'm always looking for people to work for me, but I'm also looking for those social skills. If you don't have good social skills, I can almost guarantee that I will not hire you. So practice your social skills. Practice understanding certain cultural nuances. Just practice making sure that no one asks, what? When you say something to them. If they're asking you, what did you say, and you feel like you said it perfectly, guess what? You're not saying it in the cultural context. You have to rethink how you say stuff. As you can see, engineering, business, supply chain, as I mentioned earlier. Oak Ridge National Laboratory is a major laboratory. It sounds like Oak Ridge in Hyderabad, if anybody's in Hyderabad. This city was so famous, ironically, it was never even heard of. This is during the time of the building of the atomic bomb, the Manhattan Project. Oak Ridge was a laboratory where that was built. So in Manhattan, they did the theory side. Oak Ridge was the praxis. And this city was so secretive in the 1940s that if you lived in Oak Ridge and I mailed a letter to you, the mailman would return the letter to me and say, there is no such city as Oak Ridge, Tennessee. This is how top secret the city is. Now, it's no longer a secret city, but what is it now? It's a major national laboratory, and the University of Tennessee manages that laboratory. It's still a major laboratory in nuclear engineering. What do you need for nuclear engineering? What are some of your major tools? First and foremost, computer technology. So, as a result just of the nuclear focus of the laboratory, computer science is also a huge area. It houses the world's, I believe, second fastest supercomputer. That's Oak Ridge National Laboratory, which is co-managed by the University of Tennessee, meaning our university professors are leading the research being carried out there. It also has some other fascinating things, such as it has the world's first 3D printing of a car. Yes, 3D printing of a car that works, that runs. That was done at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, which is managed by the University of Tennessee. Really amazing cutting-edge technological feats here. So for those of you interested in technology, energy, nuclear engineering, computer science, this could be an area that would be of great interest for you. So University of Tennessee is very much focused on research, and it's also a really, really fun place to study. I say this as a former student here. Here at this Aquatic Center, this Aquatic Center has, you can't see them, but there's so many different diving boards that go really high. I wouldn't even go off some of the highest diving boards. But Michael Phelps, the U.S. Olympic team with Michael Phelps, came to our Aquatic Center in 2012 to train. That's how good this is. And it's wide open for students. We have on-campus housing, and then there are also apartments off-campus. Like I said earlier, get on Google Maps if you're a grad student wanting to live off-campus and look for apartments nearby. We're always building more on campus, making the dormitories nicer. Some of the dormitories now have office rooms that are so nice that I wish I could have my meetings in the dorms. I mean, they are that nice. Really, really well done. Our international house, as I mentioned earlier, is located right across from my office. I'm looking at it right now as I'm talking to you. It has all kinds of organizations, student organizations, campus organizations. They meet there. They do all kinds of really fun events. They do trips. It's just a great place for students to meet. Students just come there and they hang out. It's a wonderful place, and it's right next to the library, so it's really convenient where it's located. Our English Language Institute. So there is the assumption in the United States that if you are a student coming from India, your English levels are high enough and you'll be fine. And I have found that not to always be true. So if you feel that you would like to study English first, maybe for a semester, maybe for 4 weeks, you can do that. This also, again, thinking strategically, the classes and the grades that you make in those classes at the English Language Institute do not count towards your GPA at the university. So if you're not sure about how you will react to culture shock, to being in a new place, to adapting, and you don't want to get bad grades and you're worried your first semester might be a little overwhelming, start at the English Language Institute. If you don't do well there and you just need to adjust first, it won't hurt your grades at all. Again, this is thinking strategically about your education. Conditional admission is what I was just talking about. It means the university will admit you on the condition that you study English more. Typically, this is if your TOEFL or IELTS scores are too low. TOEFL for the undergraduate level is 70. IELTS is 6.5. If you're familiar with these tests, you will notice that it would be advantageous to take the TOEFL as the score is a little bit lower. At the graduate level, the minimum TOEFL score is 80, and the IELTS minimum score is 6.5. Notice the difference there. TOEFL from undergraduate to graduate is 70 to 80, but the IELTS score is exactly the same. So undergraduate students, you might want to take the TOEFL. Now, graduate students, here's the extra trick. The Department of Chemistry, for example, wants to see a higher TOEFL score than an 80. So just because you hit the minimum requirements for the graduate admissions office does not necessarily mean the specific department will want to admit you. So you need to always, excuse me, you need to always check with the specific department at the graduate level for their requirements. And again, are you a minimum requirement student or are you above that? How are you communicating yourself to professors in the department where you want to study? Okay, so for more information, you can always contact me. We have our brochure online as well that you can read more about. You can also contact the folks at Study Metro. They'll be happy to answer your questions. Basic requirements. I personally think that you need to do your own research to find some basic, what are the admission requirements. I don't want to just give this to you because that doesn't help you become a good student. To be a good student, you're going to need to do research. I suggest start practicing researching now. Go online, go to the University of Tennessee, and try to find the basic requirements. If you're an undergraduate student, what are the minimum requirements for undergraduate admissions? For graduate student, what are the minimum requirements for graduate admissions office, as well as the specific department that you're interested in? Last but not least, scholarships. At the graduate level, I already mentioned how to look at money, financial assistantships. This is what I type in, right? Showing you exactly how I would look for it. And see how quickly it showed the answer? Right there. You also should, at the graduate level, look specifically at your department and what they say. Each department has a different number of assistantships they can give to their students. And just to clarify, what is an assistantship? An assistantship is where you work for your department. You might teach an undergraduate class, like a microbiology 100 class. Or you might help. You might be a lab assistant. So when those undergraduate students have labs, they need someone there, and it might not be the professor, to make sure everything's running smoothly. You would teach that class, 1 or 2 per semester, And in turn, you would receive a monthly stipend, basically a monthly salary. You would also receive health insurance, and you would receive a tuition waiver. This oftentimes, in my opinion, is better than a scholarship. So that's for graduate students. For undergraduate students, scholarships, UTK. Let's see what we find. Okay, I'm going to the first option here. Financial aid and scholarships. International students. There's the information right there for you. Basically, and you see your contact point, right? Yours truly. So ultimately, I am the one making the final decision on undergraduate scholarships. But I want you to know, like the application itself, if you hit the minimum requirements, does that mean you automatically get a scholarship? No, it does not. What that means is you will then be put in a special group, and then we will choose, our committee will choose those with the highest grades and also with the highest test scores for the scholarship. On the undergraduate admissions page, it will tell you whether the SAT or the ACT is required. I am not going to tell you that. I want you to look that up. If you have any trouble finding it, I am always happy to help you. However, I do encourage you, and I want you to do this today or tonight, I want you to do a little bit of research. Get used to this idea of research, especially undergraduate students. It's going to be important. Okay, this is the bulk of the information that I have for you. I can talk about this for hours. I love it. I think it's very interesting. But I'm happy to answer questions at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ray. It was a pleasure having you again, and it was a wonderful session. And I hope that the student enjoyed learning about UTK. And I would welcome questions. If you have any, please do write down. You can see the chat box, and I'm seeing that students have started. I've got a student, Ashutosh Joshi. He's from Indore, and his question was, is it mandatory for freshmen to couch on campus from first semester?
Yes, so do the students have to live on campus their first semester? Great question, excellent question. There are very few exceptions where the answer is no, but typically the answer is yes. Students, as freshmen, do have to live on campus the first year. If you're a transfer student at the undergraduate level, you do not have to live on campus for your first year. Now, that being said, studies have shown that when you live on campus your first year, you do better in the classroom.
Okay. Is it just because that they, meet with the different students from different part of the world, and they make more cultural and social life easy, right?
Yes, exactly. And you know this as well, Avi, from having studied in the United States. You know exactly how this works. But yes, the studies are showing that students, one, are adapting to not only the culture of the United States, but the academic culture of the United States. There's a difference there, meaning that how you behave in the classroom, how you study, how you do class exercises changes from India to the United States. So the faster you learn that, the better you can do in the classroom. And how do you learn that quickly? By being around people that have done it throughout their whole high school life and now at the university. Also, your language skills improve. And lastly, you create a support system. So that when you're feeling lonely, which you will, and that's perfectly fine, you have people you can talk to. so that you have those resources. So they say, hey, let's go swimming, let's go play basketball, let's go do something else, let's go hang out, let's go watch a movie. So you can get your mind off that and get yourself feeling better again.
Okay. His another question is 100% scholarship is possible. Actually, I would tell you about him. He's been looking for a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, and he did his SAT, and he's expecting 1300 plus. And he is looking for computer science degree. And I told him about a BS plus MS and integrated course. So, but his question right now is, after listening to your webinar, is 100% scholarship is available?
At the University of Tennessee, we do not have 100% scholarship for international students. And it will be difficult for, he could find this maybe at some smaller colleges, perhaps, but here's what the irony is that he's going to find, is that as in computer science, which is a hot area to be in, a lot of people are applying for that. He's going to have really, 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 really high scores to be able to stand out and even to get 100% scholarship. So he's going to have to sacrifice the prestige of the university for a smaller or lower ranked university in a way to get that 100% scholarship. That's not always bad, though. I mean, he could possibly go to a smaller university or private university or college in the United States at the undergraduate level, and then try to get an assistantship at the graduate level to pay for school. Good question.
Okay. I've got another student named Aditi Nimam, and she is looking for psychology, BS in psychology. Her question is, part-time jobs are available? I mean, apart from this study.
Yes, another really good question. Okay, so psychology, that's a great field. As a matter of fact, in my neighborhood, two professors of psychology live right next to me. And to answer your question, this is a federal question. It's under federal law, which says international students are allowed to work at the university only, part-time during regular days, and during holidays they can work full-time. So part-time means 20 hours a week. During holiday, Thanksgiving, winter break, summertime, I think summertime, they can work full-time. So very good question. Any more questions? I am not sure if I can hear you, Avi, but I'll try to see if I can. I don't know if you all can hear me, but I will see if I can figure out how to make this so I can see these questions.
Andy, I have some questions for you.
Okay.
Abhishek here from Bangalore. Andy, you just let me know what are the opportunities available for the students once they pass out from undergrad and graduate program after your university?
So once they've graduated, typically there are two different federal programs. One is called CPT, which is Curricular Practical Training. Oftentimes, undergraduate students will look at this opportunity, and it is focused on something that has to do directly with your major or your study. And oftentimes it's also an internship, so you'll receive little or no pay for doing it. In this, it really kind of depends on your degree. If you've majored in Portuguese and you want a job opportunity in Knoxville, mm, good luck, or boa sorte, as anyone from a big Goas might know, which means good luck in Portuguese. Now, if you're looking for something in business or tourism, that's a different story. Because, for example, the national park has tons, millions of international visitors per year. There's a heavy tourism industry right there. That would be a good opportunity to get an OPT or CPT job. So it really depends, your chances of getting a job, it really kind of depends on your specific major and who you have contacted while you were still studying. And our career services office is more than happy to help you out on that. They can guide you through that. They can help you work on your resume. They can give you sample interviews so you already know what you need to be doing. But I will say that oftentimes the College of Business has a really high rate of job opportunities and internships after graduation, whereas other areas it's a little bit lower, and that's just simply the supply and demand of the current industry.
Okay. Any more questions from Bangalore team? Okay. Andy, I'll take another question from Kawaljeet Singh. He's again from Indore. He's looking for MS in Business Analytics. His question is, are internships available in MS in Business Analytics with co-op?
Well, I'll be 100% honest. I mean, that's a really good question, but I simply do not have that information memorized. The university is just, it's too big. So what he would have to do would be go to the business analytics website and start doing a little bit of research for jobs. So, for example, looking here, a master in business analytics, and then start looking at, will I get a job? See that? That's almost 100% of our students have a job prior to graduation. Now, what's it say after? And so I don't know if you all can still see my screen or not, but this page that I'm on, it shows pretty much all the information you need. With nearly 100% of our students having jobs prior to graduation and 100% having jobs within 3 months of graduating. That's pretty good. So, great question, and I also encourage you all, if you have questions after this session, definitely get online and do a little bit of research and see what you can find. If you can't find the answer, then I'm more than happy to help you find the answer. But look first.
Okay. I've got Shailendra Singh Tomar, and his question is, I'm looking for MSMIS, and after grad, are there software companies to join like Fortune 500 company, or we have to move to other cities for work? So his question is, after graduating from MIS, that do you have opportunities of working in the same city or in state, or they need to move somewhere else?
Another excellent question. I've been really impressed with all these questions so far. Yeah, there are opportunities here. In many different cities in the U.S. and in Knoxville as well, technology is just, it's at the forefront. But in Knoxville, a couple things to kind of keep in mind with the laboratory and with the university. There are certain tech companies that are looking for software engineers and program writers. Also, and this is kind of a way to think about this as well, is I don't know if anyone's ever heard of HGTV, and it's basically a television show that's huge in the United States, and it's all about doing stuff in your home or improving your home. Another one's called DIY television, and there are many more. Those all come from Scripps Network. This company, its base, its headquarters, is in Knoxville. So there are many companies that have had headquarters in Knoxville. Some of them aren't what you're expecting. They're not Google, so their primary focus isn't information systems. However, they need those type of people in their office. So yes, those opportunities are there, though you have to think about how you're looking for those opportunities, right? So you may have to go to a communications company to find an IS job, but they're there, yes.
Okay. Good questions coming all the way. I have Aman Vyas. Um, he is actually looking for BS in health administration. So he's our one of old student who have taken the classes here, and now because I did my healthcare, he wants to go to healthcare. His question is there any opportunity to get CPT for undergrad health science student?
I would imagine the answer to be yes, but the truthful answer is I don't know. I don't know much about available CPT opportunities for two reasons. One is they're always in change, right? They're always changing. The other is that's not my area of expertise. That would be in our International Student Services, Scholar Services office, which is, that's not my side of things. I would imagine so just by the nature of health itself. It's always needed, and we always have facilities. Um, I do have friends that, and this again goes back to what I said about networking. So, for example, a good friend of mine is the head neurologist at the UT Health Center. So I can always just ask people as well. Sometimes going through the typical channel puts you in queue with everybody else, but having a contact, a kind of a foot in the door, can get you an opportunity that you may never have gotten before. It's already advantageous. I'll tell you this right now. You all knowing me will help you look at different opportunities, especially CPT and OPT, just because I know a lot of business owners and a lot of professionals in the city of Knoxville. Take advantage of networking.
Okay. I have one student here with me. He's completed his, actually he's looking for PhD in physics major. His GRE is 301, TOEFL is 88 right now, and he has done his BSc and MSc from IIT Guwahati, right? And with 8.69 CGPA out of 10.
So I know just because of what I do that his scores minus his TOEFL. His TOEFL's good. It's above average, but it's not amazing. But his other scores are really, really good, and that he's gone to an IIT is also really good. And then his grades while at IIT are really good. But remember who's making the decision at these graduate levels. It's going to be a group of professors, physicists, right? And they're going to want to choose students into their program whose research is similar or the same research that they do, those professors do, and who they may be able to offer an assistantship to. And so it's really hard for someone who's not in that group of professors to give a good answer. It's really a departmental decision. Even the Office of Graduate Admissions, they can say, okay, we would admit this student to the first part. The Office of Graduate Admissions is kind of like the gatekeeper. Excuse me, the gatekeeper. They'll say, okay, you can now be considered by the department. You've hit all of our minimum requirements. But now that decision goes to the department. And our office, the Office of Graduate Admissions, for example, saying this, we won't know anything until the department tells us. So that department then is going to have those professors. Like I said, they're really, really busy, and they'll figure out a time when they want to meet. Unfortunately, it might be at the very last minute, and they get together and they look at all the applications in a single day or in a single week, and then they make all their decisions. So for me to tell you what those professors will say, whether they'll say yes or no to that student, it would honestly be me guessing, 100% guessing. I have no idea what those professors of physics will say about this doctoral candidate. I do highly recommend that the student go to the physics website, look under faculty, and find a professor whose area of research is what he or she wants to do, and send that professor an email. And you remember what I said about what you should put in that email, right? Keep it clean, keep it concise, meaning don't make it long, and also ask a question about an assistantship. Or also say, here's my area of research. I would love to work with you. I think your research is fascinating. If you would like to see my resume, I would be happy to include it in my next email, something like that. So good question, but I don't have an answer to that one.
Okay. I have a couple of industrial engineering students here, and their concern has been that after the and I advise them even before going through the webinar session, just look over the engineering's website of UTK and then find out. So their concern has been that after they graduate, that what kind of job opportunities are available for industrial engineering students.
Well, I would say number one, they need to do some basic research and do a job hunt. And do one within the United States. Where are they going to look for industrial engineering jobs? Well, one thing to keep in mind is the automobile industry is something that where you see a lot of that. Tennessee, Alabama, and South Carolina are basically the new Detroit for automobile industry. There is a lot of automobile industry in this region. So that means the industrial engineering mindset, procedural style of doing things, data analysis, etc., is in demand for sure. I actually just hired a doctoral industrial engineer for my graduate assistant in my office, and there were many different students looking for that job while they were students. However, one thing I can say is this. Even though I'm not an industrial engineer, when I was looking at a lot of these resumes, the students did not have any experience. While studying, do something to get some hands-on experience. Do some extracurricular activities related to your field, or present a paper at a conference. You can't just go to class and sit there and then expect a job to be handed to you. You've got to be proactive. That's going to be one of the things that's going to help you get a job a lot. Be proactive while you're studying. Do some extra activities.
Okay. I have the last question of tonight session, which is, after Trump declaration on immigration, is this also going to affect future students in education stream? Like,
I have to. I don't know how I can answer that. Personally, I'll answer that on a personal level and just say that I think it will, but I think it will affect more those students that he's particularly targeting with his immigration focus. Um, I don't know how much of a focus, not a focus, but an impact it's going to have on India, if at all. It doesn't seem like that's been something of his to focus on. So that's about the most information I can say on that kind of a topic. I don't think anyone really knows, but I'm not planning for that to have an effect on Indian students studying in the United States.
Okay, sure. I think we are done with this question, but the last question, which personally I have and a student sitting near me is also concerned about it, that if the international admission for the undergrad and grad, if they say that the GRE and is required, but the minimum GRE or the average GRE score is not mentioned on the website, what is the best way that they could know about it? That if somebody is looking for industrial engineering or computer science, that do they need to find out from the department, or how they could learn about it?
Very good question. I actually answered that earlier. And I'll give part of an answer, but I'm going to see if that student or any other students in the room with you can remember my answer. Typically, you will not see minimum GRE scores in a lot of our departments. The reason is because that group of professors, that committee of professors, they don't want to give a minimum score, so then they become committed to having to accept the student. Because each semester, the students that apply, the pool or group of students that apply is different. So you could have students that really have, they could have different expectations. The group as a whole could have a really high GRE score one semester and a really low another one. So they're typically not going to give you a minimum GRE score. And I kind of always question any graduate program that really just says, if you hit this GRE, if you get this minimum GRE score, we'll accept you. Personally, I question how good of a program that is. Now, did anyone remember what my answer was as to how to find out the GRE score? Is anyone in the room there, Abby, that's raising their hand and saying, yes, I remember what Dr. Ray said?
I remember that you mentioned that they should ask about the scholarships and what will be the average scholarship should be to get the average GRE should to get the scholarships.
Excellent, Abhishek. Yes, and then the word really is assistantship more than scholarship. So assistantship is really that key word. Assistantship, again, you're going to have a better chance of getting an assistantship. They pay your tuition. They pay you each month, probably between, I don't know, $1,200 and maybe $2,000 a month, and then they also pay your health insurance. This is the key word, and as Abhishek said, you want to ask that question. What is the average score of students that have assistantships, average GRE score of students that have assistantships in industrial engineering? And just to follow up on the immigration question, I think really the best thing to do is there's a person at our university named Amy Blakely. You can look her up online. If you have questions about that, she's the person to answer that. So I really don't have an answer for you on the immigration. Amy Blakely is the person that you need to ask with immigration questions on that, just to follow up on that. But you all asked fantastic questions, really, really good questions.
Okay, we are done with the session, it looks like, and we are running 5 minutes late as well. So thank you so much, all the listeners. It's 8 o'clock now, so we would have, I hope that you all enjoyed the session. And any message from Dr. Ray for students who are looking for BS, MS, and PhDs?
Yes, well, thank you for your attention. I hope you have a great evening, and make sure that you do your research before you ask the question. That always makes you look like a good applicant when you say, I went on your website and I looked for this information. However, I couldn't find it. Rather than just say, hey, what's the answer to this? Do your research first, then ask the question. We'll be happy to answer that question, but show us that you've looked for it first.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Ray. It was a pleasure having you with us today. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate that. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. And Dr. Ray, a very good morning to you, and have a good day.
Thanks so much. Good evening.
Thank you. We look forward to see you in India soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.